This week on your Old School RuneScape Update, we discuss what Project Rebalance could mean for agility, combat, mining, and other skills. Is it the rebalance of the decade? Also a visit to the Tithe Farm, Tirannwn, and Soul Wars, some of our League's adventures for the week. This is the Old School RuneScape Update, Episode 6, recorded Saturday, December 9th, 2023. Rebalance of the Decade. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Old School RuneScape Update. Tirannwn and myself are here, as we are almost each and every week. Welcome back.
Almost?
Yeah.
What are you telling me? What are you telling me?
I'm just saying that there might be a time around Christmas where this podcast takes a break. That's all. But we're not there yet, so people don't need to fret about that. People don't need to fret about that. The wonderful world of Old School RuneScape has been happening all around us this week, as is the case in the festive holiday season. As everybody knows, this time of year, come December, it just feels like there's an entire atmosphere that's raining down on everyone. And that atmosphere just
snow,
enhances.
Shane. It's called snow. It's called
makes
snow.
everything feel better. Yeah, I don't have enough snow yet for this Christmas, and that's slightly bothering, but that's a topic for another day, of course. We'll get into all that in just a couple moments, but if you're joining us for the first time, Old School RuneScape Update is a podcast that talks about the news of the week in Old School RuneScape, and, of course, what we have been doing, and how that applies, of course, to the news of the week, but nonetheless, if you want to follow along, full show notes can be found at update.show/OS. We also have our friends chat in-game at BitsBytes. And if you want to join the community Discord, we have that as well at update.show/Discord. You can find me in-game at Shane12088. And Tirannwn, as I always say, the person without numbers is my co-host. So welcome, and thank you for filling that role.
I'm too cool for numbers.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm just going to dive in this week and, not beat around the bush and say that I got 99 farming on trim in leagues as that goes on. For folks who might know me, you'll know that farming was my first 99 back when Old School RuneScape was Mainscape. And I said, with leagues, even though it's a temporary game mode, I got to go do farming and get 99 farming on trim because it's just a rite of passage for any RuneScape account that I'm on. So I did that, and you could at this point question, what is the point of farming if you choose the Farmer's Fortune Relic? Because I was getting drops of 400k plus per hand in at the Tithe Farm.
Yeah, I'm a little bit sad that you waited with doing Tithe Farm until after you got the relic. I would love to hear your take on it, played as intended. But I guess I need to bully you into doing it on one of the main worlds, and then we can talk about it.
Well, yeah, and see, the reason I didn't wait is because by the time I had unlocked the farming guild, is that I only had a handful of seeds from the birdhouses, and then it would have meant contracts after that. And the contracts were, of course, coming in and being done ASAP with the Farmer's Fortune Relic as well. So it was just a question of, the XP's coming in. Why don't I make this XP just a little bit faster? And I see that it would have been nice to do farm runs and whatnot, but in some ways as well, I didn't necessarily need to do that after the Farmer's Fortune Relic power, because, okay, I got to take a step back here and explain to the listeners that when this whole leagues thing was first starting, my theory craft around this involved going for Corrin, Kandarin, and Asgarnia, because that would have maximized the number of farming patches that I had available. But at the time, I didn't really read too much in to the tier 6 relic power, which was the farmer's relic power, compared to the other two, which I feel were of lower power. So that's one I went with there. on that, and my hand was actually kind of forced to go and get 99 farming this week because I am closing in fast on 99 thieving for another reason after we're done talking about farming here. But I'm okay with it because it's a different method of doing farming than I'd ever done before in terms of leveling to 99. I'm very certain that Tithe Farm won't be my 99 on the main worlds.
Why not?
I don't like movement intensive things.
As if farm runs aren't movement intensive. You're literally walking more doing farm runs.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But I'm not on. But I'm not on a clock there, right?
I suppose.
But the one
I thought you were gonna say it's too little like actual farming.
Yeah. There's that too. But I mean, in reality, I'm kind of just after the produce at this point. So. Which I mean is kind of needed with Herblore. But the interesting thing out of all of this is that despite it being still stupid fast, in the process of getting 99 farming, I am accomplishing my league's goals of learning the content as I go so that I have, in many ways, a tutorial or an idea of what to expect on the main game worlds. Farming contracts, Hesperia, Tithe Farm.
Is that something, like, I hear a lot of people saying, like, oh, it's the perfect opportunity to get into PVM, and, like, I get it. At the same time, isn't it spoiling the journey a little bit? Like, I feel one of the cool things about having a character and building it up is that you sort of get thrown at interesting challenges, and Leagues allows you to bypass so many of those things. You're saying like, oh, I get to try out Tithe Farm and farming contract before I have to do them in the main game, but like, it removes that level of discovery. Like, you don't get to discover that anymore in the main game.
I can see that, but I also don't think it's that much of an issue because the XP rates are so high here that you're really only doing a Tithe Farm, a farming contract, or what have you, whatever skilling method, whatever mini game, for a limited amount of time compared to what you do in the main game.
Yeah.
That's kind
and
of
grinding things out is usually not going to reflect positively on the content for me.
Yeah. I can get into that kind of stuff, and you know, the rest of the week, in addition to the farming stuff, has been a case of unlocking the final region, which right after we finished the show last week, I settled on Tirannwn, so I locked that in. And much like a lot of other people, I don't use the new region right off the bat to its fullest potential. So Tirannwn, I went and I had a look there. And interestingly enough, for me, right now, the only way I can get there is by charter ship. Because I don't have the POH portal, I don't have the teleport crystals, so that means I have to charter in. And the funnest little Easter egg that I saw there as soon as you get there. Do you want me to spoil this for you, since you aren't choosing this and you likely won't go there until you unlock it after Song of the Elves on main? Do you want me to spoil this?
I don't know. Go for it. I don't care. Say it.
Sitting on the dock are two NPCs named Surma and Slippers playing music. Of course, for people unaware, named after Mod Surma and Mod Slippers, two integral members of the RuneScape music team.
That's lovely.
Yeah. So there's that, and you know, I went in there and I realized that this is my new money-making method because one stack of coin pouches from the elves, that's 50k. So, you know, just, you know, go thieving for an hour and you got 500k GP. So that's my GP source sorted, very much like you mentioned a few weeks back. You were doing paladins in Ardoin for your GP source. So
yeah,
that was neat. And just the kind of content that this unlocks as well, that's on the horizon. Like, I see that I'm already getting crystal shards, so I know what I need to do with those. And there's some whisperings that as soon as I reach the right level, I'm gonna go have to check out Zolcano, which I'm very much looking forward to. I already used the Iworth Slayer dungeon for a waterfin task, so it's already paying off in choosing Tirannwn. And I feel like as soon as I fully lean into it, it's going to be the right region choice that I made, because my real current stance in leagues right now is that I'm building up the levels that are going to take me into that first section of PVMing in leagues. And I know that
Yeah,
there's people who are way far ahead, but this is just where I'm at right now.
I think you need to be careful there. Like, this is a trap I watch myself for a lot, is that, especially because you now unlock tier 6, like on tier 7, your XP multiplier is going to go up again.
Right.
Not by a lot, but it's another third.
12 to 16, right?
Yeah, so it's like another third of your XP on top of what you're already getting.
Yeah.
So it's very tempting to just go and grind some skills and get 99s and all that stuff, but I think, at least until you unlock all the relics, focusing on tasks should always still be the most important thing you do.
Well,
right?
Yeah, and to be fair, what I mean by leveling up skills, I mean it's going to be leveling up defense to 70. It's going to be leveling up fletching to 69 to make my rune crossbow. And then,
but like, what does defense to 70 get you?
I just feel that's a good number to have going into PVM.
But now you need to grind now for about a third longer than you do after getting tier 7. Do you want to start doing PVM before you get tier 7?
The answer is yes, probably.
Okay. Well, then I guess you can do it. I'm purposely trying to, avoid any significant PVM until tier 7, because,
right,
first of all, that's a combat relic choice. But also, yeah, I want to avoid grinding right now.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. And maybe I oversold that a bit. It's basically Slayer to 69 right now. Or sorry, not Slayer. Fletching to 69. Because right. I went and I sat down at the Steel Dragons for a bit. My accuracy was enough to get through, but my max hits were kind of iffy. The kills were long, but after about a dozen or so Steel Dragons, I had my Runite crossbow limbs, which is what I went there for.
Yeah, can you believe this guy? He refused to do clues to just get rune crossbows raining left and right.
That's another fun thing in relation to the clue scroll relic. Yes, it brought me a boatload of points, but every time I need to go do one of the gathering skills, I am now severely questioning if I should have went for the other one.
Yeah, well,
but I'm happy I got the points though, and I went that way because I like clue scrolls less than I like skilling.
There you go.
So that was the decision that was made there, and this will be the last thing that I was up to. You can kind of include the Steel Dragon slaying on this list, but that was for Runite crossbow limbs. But in addition to that, I was doing Slayer this week because I needed some Slayer points to unlock broader fletching. And for folks who know me, you'll know that Slayer is my least favorite skill in any incarnation of RuneScape.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I have to say about this, though? With leagues? I am very pleased that the task list is smaller and that I get so many points for doing those tasks. What do you think of the Slayer task list in leagues here?
I think it's fine. I haven't really optimized my regions for it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm reasonably indifferent about it.
Yeah, and I had to go in and look this up because I went to Vinaka and I remember, certain Vinaka tasks, and it's like, why isn't he assigning X? And I then went to the Slayer Leagues page and it's like, oh, we got a communal Slayer list that everybody assigns from. That makes more sense now. Okay, fair enough. That's interesting. So, I don't mind it, and maybe it's just the fact that it's a list with more variants that helps me. But um, I've cracked half the nut about Slayer previously, and I just have to find out how to crack the other half of it, the task side. But that's largely what I've
Right.
been up to in leagues this week. How about you?
I've had a busy week, but not necessarily related to leagues, unfortunately.
It's
I've been
that time
doing
of
my
year.
clues. Yeah, it's that time of year. I've been doing my clues. It's been pretty great. Got a lot out of it. Got a whole tab in my bank dedicated.
Yeah, yeah,
All the crap.
and
Um,
and because we're irons, it's a question of, do I keep this in case I ever need it?
yeah, I've been keeping as much as I could, but I need to start thinking about. Well, what I might do is I might just build a costume room in the POH and
Oh
just
yeah, that
chuck
works.
everything in.
And then put all the things that are cosmetic into there.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, mostly that. Right now I'm on a massive diaries grind. I want to get a lot of diaries done. I got most of the skills, like I'm really close to finishing most of the hard diaries. There's a chunk of points in there to get to begin with. Um, so yeah, that's been it really.
Have you run into any issues with the diaries? Because I remember, back in the day when these diaries came out, like the first one, the first Karamja diary, and again, this was back when Mainscape was old school. Um, there were cases where the stuff that would come into the diary was either too daunting or too difficult to do at the time, or now are you at a point where you can just go in and do it all?
um, I don't know if I could do it all, but all in all, I'm really I'm surprised by how quickly I've sort of caught up, right? Like for a really long time I was like, oh, a lot of these things they feel so far away.
Yeah,
Um but they sort of snuck up on me. And leagues, the fact that all the XP is really fast and that you're continuously sort of pushing really helps. But yeah, no, like uh, I remember like looking at the diaries, like the hard diaries, like maybe a week and a half ago. I was like, oh, this is all so far away. I can't do this. And now it's like, oh, it's just these few skills I need to train, and then I'm there.
yeah, and the other interesting thing that happens on that same kind of vein is that not only are the skills close, but as you look at the easy and medium sections for a lot of the diaries over time, you will just start filling these up on your own and completing them to the point where you only got a handful of tasks left in either of them to complete them. And for me, that's how I've done some of my biggest milestones in RS, is just by letting these things sort of fill up over time, and until there's a handful left. Okay, let's go knock it out this weekend, sort of thing, right?
Well, especially in leagues, a lot of the tasks for the diaries overlap with the tasks you do for leagues. So that really helps pushing things closer to being almost done to
Right.
begin with.
Yeah.
So that definitely helps. But yeah, I also did some Soul Wars.
And how was that?
Um,
How is that? How is that? How is our favorite PvP minigame?
I don't enjoy it. Um, but the zeal are pretty fast with the minigame multiplier, and I really needed that pure essence. And the moment I got a single pure essence drop, I ran off
you
to the
left.
ZMI. Yes, I ran off to the ZMI altar, and within 20 minutes, I went from 50 to 70 runecraft, and that was lovely. Um, that made me really glad for having access to the ZMI altar.
You know
That
what?
unblocked, and that is honestly what made me push for the diaries, because that started unblocking a
Right,
whole bunch of diaries
right,
tasks.
right.
Yeah,
Soul Wars, yes. Essence. For me, it'll be bolts that I go there for.
yeah, bolts are good. Got a bunch of those from there as well.
And I mean, if you
And
really like it, prayer training as well.
it's probably where I will be doing my prayer train. I don't have a good location right
I
now
I
where I
do.
can trade prayer.
I do. I do. Actually, you do.
Uh,
You do have a good location. You have Korend. There is
yes.
a dungeon in Korend with red dragons, and also in that dungeon is an altar that boosts bones up 350%.
Yeah, but you either need to corrupt it or you need to pay 5 dragon stones to get access to it.
Oh, okay.
So like I said, I don't have a great option. So likely I'll be doing Soul Wars for that.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
Speaking of the other mini game that's combat related, have you done much pest control?
Shane, please. Pest
Oh,
control
oh, right,
Asgarnia.
that's an Asgarnia thing. Oops.
Please. Please. Stop showing off.
Didn't you choose Asgarnia for your third region?
I have not picked yet. I
Any?
still haven't picked.
What are you leaning towards? Because that's
I
got to be
still
a
don't
decision
know.
that's coming close, right?
You were gonna try and convince me on Tirannwn this week. You promised this to me. You were gonna check out Tirannwn. You're gonna scout it out and tell me if I needed to pick it. And you're like, oh, I pickpocketed some elves and that's all. I'm like, okay, thanks.
Well, I mean, it's not like I have the mining level for Volcano yet, or the raids there.
Better be training, man.
You just told me not to. You said don't focus too much on training skills right now.
Oh, go and do some Tirannwn tasks and tell me if they're any fun.
Okay. I should have done that, but like you, I got sidetracked with other things outside of old school RuneScape this week. So, one of which we'll talk about in a little bit, won't we? That we both made a commitment after this in relation to quest requirements, right?
Oh yeah.
But anything else leagues wise that you want to mention? Because I think I might have a thread that I want to pull for you.
No.
If you don't.
No.
Okay. How are you liking your candor and skilling tasks? You mentioned the ZMI altar stuff. How are you liking the candor and tasks so far?
I don't mind them really.
You don't, eh?
No. I mean, like one of them um you might think is horrible is the jumpy bird stuff, but because there was a bug in the previous Trailblazer League, I believe, or previous league, everybody just got 1,000 kills by talking to Vance, I think it's called.
So that's 20% of the way done.
So basically, I talked to him. I was like, "Oh, well, there you go, 1,000 kills done." I could do more. I might do more, but that's a pretty grindy task. So no, honestly, I don't mind most of the skilling tasks.
What about Barbarian Assault?
Oh, you had to go there. I haven't done it yet, and that's not a skilling task, by the way. What are you trying to shame me?
No, I'm not trying. No.
Are you trying to guilt me about picking Kandrin?
No, I'm not. It's just that you have.
So remind me again how you had to unlock Tirannwn to make use of your trickster relic.
Well, see, here's the thing. I was not a fan of Chompy Bird hunting.
No, it's horrible.
I am not a fan of Barbarian Assault, so I just wanted to know how it was.
No, it's horrible.
Okay.
Do you like all the content that Asgarnia offers? Have you been enjoying pest control?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That backfired.
Yeah. Yeah.
That backfired.
There hasn't been much in Asgarnia that I actually haven't enjoyed.
Even the modeload mine grind?
I haven't done that yet.
Oh, and I'm sure you've done a bunch of rogues then?
Conveniently ignoring that one. Okay.
All right. Have
Okay.
you done the games room?
All right.
How about
There's
the
two.
games room?
Yeah. There's game room tasks.
I don't know. You tell me.
No, I don't know. I haven't seen any for it, but okay. That's fair enough. You have your chompy bird hunting and barbarian assault. I have my motherload mine and
Remind me
rogue
again
stand.
how you have to get a golden prospector kit for one of the Asgardia tasks.
Yeah. There's that.
And how many construction contracts again?
Yeah. I've only done a handful. That's true. Okay. Baby, you've made that backfire upon me, but that's okay.
Don't ever make me feel bad about picking Tirannwn because I have no regrets.
Well, that's good. And that's mainly the thing I wanted us to
Even doing the gnome restaurant today, I did not feel bad.
And I'm not trying to make you feel bad here. But again, every one of these tasks you're mentioning, I'm glad I didn't choose Tirannwn because of it.
Well, if I go and end up picking Tirannwn, I will have 2 teleports right into the heart of Prifdinus.
That's true. And, as such, I'm actually forced to maybe go and do some. Well, I'll need to go do some of those contracts, but because the easiest way to get there is actually going to be by moving my house portal, and that needs 70 construction, which shouldn't be too much, given our insane XP rates. But we did make a commitment this week that going forward in our main old school RuneScape questing journeys, we weren't going to be leaning too much into quests that we don't have the requirements for, because you and I both might have spent a little bit too much time leveling up for Heroes Crest, getting the fishing and cooking requirements, and me the mining requirement.
Oh yes, I did not have a great time.
53 fishing and cooking and 50 mining.
Yeah.
But in the end, was it worth it? Was Heroes Quest worth it? I think so.
No, I still don't get what we get out of it. You're like, oh, I can finally recharge my amulets. I'm like, I will just buy new ones on the GE, which actually give me 6 charges instead of 4.
But the idea is that you could stack up and have 6 glories, charge them up.
I have 6 glories.
Okay.
In my bank.
Okay. Dragon Battle Axe.
Well, fair enough.
And I just felt like Heroes was kind of where we needed to be. And you're right, Heroes was not the daunting quest that I remember it being from way back when, in 2005 when I did it.
We breezed through it. I was surprised. I was like, I thought this was worse.
Yeah, like the most difficult part is the Ice Queen, but protect from melee and you're good.
Yeah,
that really makes me think that back in the day when I did it, I probably didn't have the protection prayers and know what I was doing with the game.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad that one's done. Fremennik Trials last week?
I think we talked about that already.
No, we didn't, did we?
We did.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yep, we did.
Okay, I couldn't remember if questing was before or after the show last week. That all kind of blended together. But yeah, what did you do for fishing? Salmon trout?
Salmon trout, and then I cooked it. Then I cooked it right at the fire in Barbarian Village, so I trained my cooking at the same time.
Okay. Whereas for me, I just went and cooked, or went and fished, and then I knew I was going to be needing food for bosses and such, so I bought a boatload of caramboan and cooked that. And that was my cooking. And mining, I don't know how hard it's going to be to go further.
Did you do power mining?
I did power mining for the first couple levels, and then I got tired of the micro involved in it. So then I went to the motherload mine for a bit of a more AFK approach.
So you having experienced the pain of mining, it's the perfect time for Jagex to release a blog about how they want to change mining, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Did you read the mining changes?
Are you referring to Project Rebalance?
Oh, absolutely, I'm referring to Project Rebalance.
Yeah, this post is interesting because coming into the show, when we started this show, these were always the kinds of news posts that Old School puts out that really, really made me excited here. And the first thing on that mining list is improving the motherlode mine's positioning as a low intensity method with some ore output.
I think it's great.
Yes.
Yes. Awesome.
And I feel like most of the mining changes are some of the smaller things that are in Project Rebalance here, and that's fine. Obviously, improving blast mines viability and the volcanic mines approachability are important too, because just looking into those pieces of content kind of shows what they're hinting at with that, as well as making gem mines potentially easier to access. Right now being tied to the hard Karamja diary task, having more gem rocks in Shiloh Village is good too. With that, so I feel like these changes around mining are kind of the team's way of pushing mining for Old School in more of a direction of, dare I say it, the RS3 mining rework without completely copying.
I wouldn't go that far.
No,
I wouldn't go that far. No, I think it is just bringing skills into the 21st century.
Okay.
Well, okay. Maybe that's a little bit too extreme, but at least into this decade, right? Into the 20s.
All right, fair enough.
Better way of saying it. I mean, I think there's a theme towards all of these scaling changes. It's just bringing these skills into a position where they fit again within an environment.
Yeah.
Here. And
okay.
They kind of had to. I think we've started seeing in the recent months that things are sort of falling apart around the edges. You saw this with the Fallen Stars changes, right? Because Fallen Stars are kind of still the meta for mining, which I think it's unfortunate. That should not really be the main method.
I went from 38 to 42 mining just finding one day.
Yeah, exactly. So I can see why they have decided that, actually we should really be making the rest of mining better rather than, relying on this one piece of content as a band-aid.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And, you also have to realize that mining, fishing, and woodcutting, the three primary gathering skills, form a holy trifecta of things that people can get into in RuneScape and just do repetitively all the way to 200 million XP if they want to. Mm-hmm. And having those skills, in effect, be upstanding citizens in your game is an important thing to accomplish with that.
Yeah.
So that's important, and I'll be looking forward to these changes. I hope they'll go through when they come out. I don't know. Are they polling these, or are these going to be guaranteed?
I'm pretty sure they're going to be polling these, but they're going to be diving into these changes individually.
Good.
Because honestly, we only have the surface right now. But this is a little bit of a fear to me. Some of these changes are pretty significant.
Oh yeah.
And I hope that the Old School community sees these changes for the health that they will bring to the game as a whole, rather than this is too much and RS3 now,
right? And
especially the attack styles, right?
Yeah, because there was a passage for that. Do you want to do attack styles now, or do you want to move into agility? Because I know we had mentioned agility first. Because you mentioned attack styles.
Let's do attack styles. So
yeah,
that's sort of
the funniest bit in this post is this sentence. We're not looking to evolve combat. We're looking to create new avenues for rewards and give players a reason to use gear that's super cool, but often just sits in the bank gathering dust.
Yeah,
A little
I think it is
tongue-in-cheek there, eh?
Yeah, but I also think it's exactly the right goal of this project. It's exactly the thing that they should be doing.
Yeah.
You know, let's keep the combat system as it is, but melee skills have always been weird to me. The fact that they get so much extra attention.
Yeah,
with all the extra, like, there's 2 melee skills, right? 3 if you call defense one. There's 3 attack styles. All that stuff feels a little bit funky.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely glad that we're gonna start seeing some developments onto ranged and magic.
Yeah, and the thing that really this post really comes into its own with is that it's like you often say, it's a case of show, don't tell. And they're making the case as to why this is needed rather than just saying we're going to be doing this. So when you look at it and you think about it, you're going to have range type weaknesses that kind of mirror the melee weaknesses. So heavy attacks will be javelins and bolts, standard arrows, and light will be thrown weapons like knives and darts.
Mm-hmm.
Magic gets elemental weaknesses that shake up magic beyond Trident into Sanguesti Staff, into Shadow in the form of air and smoke, water, ice, earth, shadow, and fire and blood.
Yeah.
Which on the surface, these are simple changes, but it creates that level of consistency between the 3 different styles, I think.
Absolutely, and I totally agree that it's really hard to balance things if the only way you can go is up. Which is kind of where a lot of the skills sit, unfortunately, right now, right?
Yeah.
Like, the only way you can go is up and more tiers and more powerful.
And see, so many games think, so many games lean into that, as in, we can't bring things down, we can only go up. Whereas this is more of a breadth first approach, would you say?
Yeah. No, exactly. And I love that. I am worried that this is the change that's probably gonna be hardest to get past the community. But let's be honest, they did one thing better than Evolution of Combat already, which is more reasonable range combat styles. Like, this is the one thing I hate so much about EOC, that one of the ranged combat styles is arrows, and the other one is bolts. I'm like, come on. And at least here they tried giving it some explanation.
And that shoehorns so many people into choosing a crossbow or a bow, whereas with this, it's actually an actual decision that you have to make that's going to be more in line with the other ones as well. So, and in many ways, I think the frame for looking at this for people who might be skeptical of it is that just look at it as a presentation change.
Yeah.
Because you're still going to have your weapons that you like, and you're still going to be able to hit the numbers that you hit. And as such, it's not like you're going to be punished for using something different. It's just a different way of presenting what the weaknesses and strengths are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good.
Yeah, no, and I, for one, am really looking forward to the reward spaces that are opened up by this.
Yeah, that too. Because you don't look at it on the surface, but you realize that there is really an untapped potential with the way the stats of items and whatnot work in old school for those reward spaces, as we even talked about a few weeks ago with that prayer hybrid armor setup that could potentially come in. So leaning into that creates just another one of these things that an armor set could come into and provide a unique reward space for us. So that's a really, really good way of looking at it. Another fun thing about this is that they're making it so that you potentially can no longer hit zeros. How do we feel about that?
Oh, when I read that, that's one of the biggest changes that I think is awesome. the current system where you can hit but still hit 0 is, it just feels bad, right? Like, it just feels so incredibly bad. And the fact that they're changing the min hit to 1, yeah, they're gonna have to figure out the details, and I think they communicated pretty clearly that, yeah, there are details that we haven't figured out yet and that we will figure out. But to me, they get it, right? When you read this, the thing that I was thinking continuously is they get it. They get us. They get our problems.
I have one concern, and I think people might have a concern about this too. What do you always see when you run through Port Sarim?
Splashing.
Yeah.
But this doesn't affect that, right?
I don't know.
This only affects when you hit, but still roll 0 damage.
Oh, okay.
That's different than a splash.
Okay, and see, I was considering them the same because I just viewed them as a miss. Right,
and
but
this is why low-level combat feels so shitty, right? Because when you have a max hit of 1, there's a 50% chance that even if you hit,
you're going to hit a 0.
You hit a 0.
Okay, and then a splash is just, you get nothing.
Yes.
Fair enough.
So it's the splash sound with magic. Like, magic does a really good job at conveying this. It's a splash sound instead of it's like a strike sound, like you hit.
Yeah.
It's not the boom 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 sound. Great impersonation. You know exactly what sound I mean.
Yes.
And that sound, that's unchanged. It's like the splash, followed by 0 damage somehow.
Yeah.
And I think that's great.
Yeah, and they say additional considerations required for the 10 HP community, but we'll get to those in the blog dedicated to all these adjustments.
Absolutely.
And again, case of show don't tell.
Yeah. They need to make true on this promise, of course, that they are going to listen to the concerns, but it's good that they call them out right now, because if they didn't, people would be like, would bring that up right now.
That would be one step towards evolving combat, and we know how that goes.
Well, no, but like, people would bring it up right now, like, oh, they didn't think about, HP 1 purists, and people will pre-sort themselves to be against these changes based on that.
Exactly.
And that is what I love about the communication style here. They are saying, we know that there are concerns. We just want to give you a heads up.
It's getting ahead of it.
It's
getting ahead of those concerns.
Yes.
Good.
And honestly, based on the track record I've seen in the past year, I am very confident that the team will do anything they can to alleviate these concerns.
Indeed. Agility.
Yes, agility. They want to make run energy changes.
Yeah, the run energy changes to me, honestly, are the more interesting ones compared to the agility course changes and some of the XP balancing that are going to come in. And with this, they say they want to revisit some of the work from November 2022's Game Jam to look at run energy drain, regen, and how weight and agility all interact with that system. And they say these changes will involve a lot of math and will absolutely require a beta before it can be discussed in any detail, but they're waiting on engine changes that would be required to make any of these adjustments in the first place. So as such, they'll be holding off on talking any more about these until you're able to get into a beta world and try them out.
I love it. Again, pre-sorting on people will have concerns about this, knowing that you will address them. Great. I mean, I saw a comment in the Clan Quest Discord, our clan's Discord, when this blog came out, and honestly, I can't disagree with this. And the comment was 3 words: nuke run energy. And I've been thinking about it. really run energy doesn't add that much to the game.
No.
We've been playing leagues with infinite run energy. It's great, and it doesn't feel broken. Like, there's many things in leagues that are very broken. I don't think infinite run energy is one of them.
No, it's not. It's not. And honestly, that's how RS3 operates. And I don't think the solution for everything in old school should be to copy RS3. I think we need to, just
No.
wait and see what they do here with this beta and see what kind of solution they come up with. Because, I agree with you. Imagine a world where run energy regenerates so quickly, like it basically imagine it was like it is in leagues. So leagues is infinite, just a little bit less than that. Where instead your agility level and your weight, and this is just a very high in the sky idea right now, where your weight and all that, kind of the way Graceful works, just makes you run a little bit faster.
That won't happen with how the tick system works.
Yeah.
I think it is like the speed, like run is probably 1 tile per tick, and I think walking is 1 tile per 2 ticks, something like that. The speed you walk at is 100% based on the tick system, so that won't happen. I would love for agility to be useful. I am very passionate about agility.
Oh, are we going into the ranged hybrid agility idea right now?
No, we're not. But honestly, I think we should. At some point, you can teleport to so many places. Run energy to get to those few places that is annoying. Like, it's not gonna make the world feel smaller, I think, if you get infinite run energy.
No,
it doesn't. At some point you get to teleport everywhere anyway.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
What does it really add that you have to walk half the time? I don't know.
Right, and that's a question of, like, what is the actual design space for agility in the game, right?
Yeah.
And run energy.
I think game mechanics that provide challenges are good, but a challenge should be interesting, have interesting workarounds, have interesting solutions. Run energy is just frustrating. It's just frustrating.
Yeah. And let's just see how daring they are with the beta, because, if it was just, saying, hey, we're going to, in effect, make run energy recharge faster, I don't know that you need a beta for that. So the fact there's engine changes involved and the fact that they are going to do a beta on this tells me that we're actually going to see some creative thinking here.
Yep. I'm looking forward to this. Like, this is the most exciting topic, well, besides maybe leagues, but especially in, like, the main game, this is the most exciting thing we have talked about on the show so far.
Yeah, and
without a doubt.
And you and I have both said that, these kind of dev blogs that really get into the nuts and bolts of some of these skills are what we wanted to be here to do this show about, because it's not something that we see that often, but we're seeing, in effect, behind the curtain, a whole look into the process of how these decisions are being made, and that's interesting. And then watching the community is also going to be interesting in terms of response here.
Oh, absolutely. And I can't wait to do the actual shows for all the individual changes that we're going to go to.
You say it best with that.
Yeah.
Because when we get all that data, oh my, that's just going to be something so fun to look into. But but just before we go, I do want to also just mention a couple of the changes from the agility section that are really interesting to me. One, rebalancing agility course XP rates and requirements. That's going to be interesting given the fact that so many people do rooftop now. Also, improving the Brimhaven agility dungeon to make it a competitive, high-effort alternative to the more typical methods like rooftop training.
Love it. You're gonna call me completely mad when I mention this. When I first did Agility Arena back when I was a young little grasshopper, I did some Agility Arena, and that was back in a time where people actually still talked in game and weren't all massive pricks. And I was playing like Agility Arena. I was probably like 40 agility, or maybe even less than that. And I was like, this is so much fun. Agility is gonna be my first 99. Spoilers! That didn't happen. But I think the Agility Arena is
Hey, hey.
piece of content.
If these changes come in the first half of 23, agility could be your first 99 in old school.
I don't think it will happen. But I genuinely think that the Agility Arena is a really fun and creative take on agility.
Yeah, and see, people might not remember this, but way back in the day, it was the only source of Snapdragon and Toadflax before farming.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that too.
Yeah.
And that's why and that's why I specifically chose the Brimhaven Agility Dungeon point here, is because leaning into something like that and making it a competitive, high-effort alternative, to me means that maybe they could be leaning back into some of those ideas from way back when. So, fun stuff on the horizon, folks. Anything else here before we go, Sirion?
No, I mean, I hope that everybody who's listening is equally excited. If you have any concerns that you see that we didn't see, please share them.
Yeah. Post them in the comments on YouTube or Discord at update.show/Discord. Because the reason, and it's so good that you mentioned that, because we've been playing RuneScape. I've been playing RuneScape. I don't know what your numbers are, in various forms since 2004, but I still feel like we're still old school RS noobs, only being a year and a bit in. So, please do let us know.
Without a doubt, and I'd love to get some other perspectives on it. I think this is what the game needs. I don't think the game is bad. There's just isn't is bad. The game isn't bad. Like, old school isn't bad, but we all need to agree that even though maintaining the nostalgia and maintaining the current game is good, getting rid of jank is also good.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of jank.
Yeah, especially when you go into content from, 2005, like the Agility Arena, thieving as well, mining, you name it. So, this is very promising to look forward to 2023. But as they say, the adventure continues. We'll be back next week for another episode of the Old School RuneScape update. Anything else before we go?
What's gonna be your one goal for the upcoming week before the next show?
Sell you on Tirannwn.
Sell me on Tirannwn. Okay, awesome. My goal is going to be getting tier 7. Yeah, the tier 7 relic. I'm like 1,000 points away. Should be able to do it despite having a busy week. Just a few more tasks, and I should be there.
All right, well, I'll hold you to that. So we'll see you guys next week for another episode of the Old School RuneScape update. See you then, everyone. Take care.
See ya. Bye-bye.